Hello? Hello, Anas, I see you there.
Excuse me, are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm looking at my leftmost picture.
Oh,
Nice to see
hello.
you.
Good afternoon. Or good morning, depending
I
on
guess,
the time.
yeah, you're in the morning, I suppose.
Yes, here.
Early, very early in the morning, I guess.
Hello, teams. We will be starting with the valedictory ceremony shortly. Please be with us. We have our chief guest, Professor Gudmundur, with us. Please be present here, sir. I'll see you soon.
Yes, hello?
Sorry for the delay. Bom dia to our attendees from Portugal. Daja Hao to our invitees from Macau. Subha Sandhya to our invitees from Sri Lanka. Good day to one and all present with us online as well as offline. I, Suhana Khan, student of Govinda Ramnath Kare College of Law, welcome you all for the valedictory program of Control International Competition organized by VVM Govinda Ramnath Kare College of Law in association with MOU partner University Govinda Ramnath Kare College of Law and MOU partner Faculdade de Direito, University of Lisbon. I welcome our special invitees present amongst us, Professor Isabel Figueiredo, Professor Pedro Caridad de Freitas, other special invitees presenting online, participants and faculties. The last 2 days were exhilarating, filled with intellectual stimulating knowledge shared by our speakers and great performance by the participants. We shall now commence with the valedictory ceremony for which we are waiting with bated breath. But before that, I request Mr. Bastos, our fellow organizer representing our MOU partner, Faculdade de Direito, University of Lisbon, to welcome the gathering.
Hello to everyone all over the world. I would like to say that the second Crisis Control International Competition was truly an international event. We had teams from 4 countries and 2 continents, and we had judges from 3 countries and 2 continents. And I must say that I'm very happy, truly happy with the results achieved, and we were very honored to be invited to be partner in this event, and we are really joyful with what was achieved. And now it is really important to congratulate the organizers, and when congratulating the organizers, we must say that first and foremost, we must congratulate the principal of Car College, Professor Saba da Silva, because he was very enthusiastic about this event, and he saved no efforts to achieve a truly international event. I must say that I received dozens of WhatsApps, messages from him asking if we had a Portuguese team and if we could help him to find Portuguese teams, and I'm happy that we have a Portuguese team. And so thank you very much for organizing, and thank you very much for inviting us. We are really happy, and we are looking forward for the 3rd edition of this event, because after the results of this one, I think there are all the conditions to do a 3rd event and other events. Then it is very important to thank and congratulate the faculty coordinator, the faculty team, the student coordinator, and the student team. I must say that I know the names, but I'm not going to pronounce it. So it's the same thing about pronouncing my surname Loureiro. No one can. So in a way that they cut it here because it was very difficult to pronounce. So thank you very much to everyone. You did a fantastic job, and Professor Saba da Silva is going to mention all of you and saying the names and not doing what I could do, that is to ruin your names by pronouncing it completely wrong. And it is really very, very important to thank and congratulate the members of the 12 teams, because we could organize something, but if we don't have participants, if we don't have the team in a sort of competition, it would be nothing. So This is one of those things where we need organization, and the organization is absolutely fantastic, but we need people to compete. And we had 12 teams, and so my congratulations to all of the teams for dedicating time and effort to prepare for the competition. We are talking about international law, we are talking about international law of the sea. It's not an easy subject. It's not easy to understand the language of international law. It's even less easier to understand the language of international law of the sea. So thank you very much for participating and for doing the effort to talk about these matters. For me, as a co-organizer, the really most important thing to stress is that these get-together of students are very important for people understand that common language that is international law. Of course, all the teams involved have a different approach to international law, but we are talking about something that is a common language for all. So it's really important that we had this get-together of students talking about international law of the sea. Unfortunately, it was an online hybrid event and not an in-person event, because if it was a person event, it would be extraordinary to see people to talk about their differences and their different approaches to things, and how someone here in India has a different approach to a number of matters from the people in Portugal, the people in other places. But if they were together, they could see what is common and what are the differences. And it's really important to stress that international law is a common language for all of us. So let's hope that the future events can be in person, and for sure that we all gain for being confronted with different ways of understanding that this common language that is international law. So thank you very much. It was an honor and a pleasure to be here. It was truly an interesting experience, and I sincerely hope that we are going to have the third and the fourth and a number of events of this sort, because everyone is going to gain from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. I now call upon our principal, Dr. Saba da Silva, to say a few words.
A very good evening to everyone present here. Professor Dr. Fernando Loureiro Bastos, Professor Pedro Caridade Freitas, Professor Isabel Figueiredo, my fellow colleagues, my head of department, Sri Harsha Inavalli, faculty coordinator of this event, Vaibhavi Rani, and everyone present here online, and whoever else here is offline who I have not mentioned. It was indeed a great pleasure. They say pleasure goes with pain, so it was a painful pleasure, I would say, of these 2 days, having right from resource persons to so many arguments and so much of judgment and such proximity in their grades. It was really great. I'm supposed to be welcoming and taking the welcome address of Professor Loureiro Bastos forward. I will also not attempt all the names, because this is becoming an exercise left for our head of department to handle. But I would like to certainly admit or confess, if that's a better word, that I did harass the professors from several countries. One of them is Amrit Asia, Professor Fernando, who was patient enough to to attend all these Google Meets that we had. We were trying to convince him about how workable a competition can be like this. And in turn, he was supposed to convince the others. So it's not just himself. I have another victim of my harassment, and that's Professor Isabel, successful victim, who could get us two teams from the University of Macau from two different units. And I have a list of unsuccessful victims as well. So I had Professor Maria Clara Calheiros from the University of Minho, who I will not say unsuccessful because she didn't give us a team, but she certainly helped us and helped us in taking us to other possible teams, to other possible experts in the field of the law of the sea. We also had a meet with Professor Nuno João Calvão da Silva of the Coimbra University, a long meet of about an hour, and we will not stop. We shall continue with these meets, and as Professor Fernand says, we are going to go forward, and we are trying our best to move into the offline mode at the earliest, maybe just one more year of an online or a hybrid mode, and then come back. So I welcome everyone present here. I'm not really sure who's online because I'm not hosting the meet. I have no gadget in my hand. It's quite likely that I've left out a lot of high profile persons. I'm really sorry. We were supposed to have the ambassador of Gambia to the United Kingdom, Her Excellency Fatou Bensouda, who is also accomplished in the area of the law of the sea. And it's just that she's traveling, and many of them are traveling, so we may have missed them, but we will stay determined to make CCIC a success for a long time to come. Thank you very much for your patient listening. I think there's much more interesting matter left to listen to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Detailed analysis of these past 2 days, I call upon Ms. Nelly Falcao, student of Govinda Ramanath Kari College of Law, to present the report of CCIC 2023.
The second Crisis Control International Competition CCIC commenced on 27 January with the inaugural ceremony with Ms. Suhana Khan as the compere. The principal, Dr. Saba V.M. Da Silva, welcomed the attendees, followed by the address of Professor Dr. Fernando Loureiro Bastos. A brief overview of CCIC was presented, after which the keynote address on the UNCLOS was delivered by Professor Dr. T.R. Subramanya, the chief guest for the day, who provided us with his valuable inputs on the subject. Thereafter, the program coordinator, Assistant Professor Vaibhavi Rane, proposed the vote of thanks and proceeded with the orientation session, which included the picking of the lots, wherein, along with the technical team, the participants picked up the lots and identified their sides. The event proceeded with two enlightening learning sessions by the dignitaries. The first session commenced at 3:30 p.m. IST by Professor Dr. Fernando Loureiro Bastos, which indeed was very informative to the participants, highlighting the sources and codification of international law, further elaborating on international conventions and the safety at sea. In addition to that, he also spoke about the role of the specialized agencies like IMO, FAO, ISA in the development of international law. The session was interactive and ended with questions from the students. The second learning session commenced at 5:15 p.m. IST by Dr. Abdullah Al Arif. Law of Sea as a branch of public international law, and furthermore, the sources of international law were incorporated in detail. A brief history of the development of law of sea, the different zones, along with its utilization, were discussed in depth. The session concluded with engaging questions by the participants. There was the end of day 1 of CCIC. Day 2 commenced on 28 January with the competition rounds starting at 2:30 p.m. IST. 6 teams arguing for and 6 arguing against the proposition competed simultaneously. The judges in the 4 category in room 1 were Professor Dr. Fernando Loureiro Bastos and Professor Dr. Grasa Ennis. The judges in the against category in room 2 were Professor Gudmundur Eriksson and Dr. Abdullah Al Arif. It was a fierce battle. The competition saw great stimulation, ideas, commendable presentation skills shown by the participants. Given their cognizant presentation, prepared in short span of time, it turned out to be a cutthroat competition. The coordination amongst the team mates was truly evident and worth mentioning. There were 12 teams participating. We had teams from Macau, Portugal, Sri Lanka, and India. The proposition was a mock crisis faced by the 10th largest economy in the world, Mundland, a peninsula nation and a member of the United Nations Organization. While different stakeholders of the government of Mundland argue that it should be signatory to UNCLOS for various benefits it provides, the government of Mundland has strong reservation against the same as it claims that it would hinder the sovereignty and the sovereign rights over the island, continental shelf, and the exclusive economic zone. Accordingly, the NGOs and the fishing communities have been staging violent protests. As a result of these protests, Mundland called for an emergency cabinet meeting to debate on whether the state is required to be a member of the UNCLOS or not. The fierce competition went for 2 hours and ended at 5 p.m. IST. And now we are in the valedictory ceremony. Thank you for giving me this opportunity of presenting the report, and I thank my co-rapporteur Samruddhi for her able assistance. The winners will be announced soon. All the best to the participants.
Thank you, Nelly. Finally, it is the time you all have been waiting for. The time to declare the results of CCIC 2023. I call upon Programmer Coordinator, Assistant Professor Vaibhavi Rane to declare the results.
Well, the time that all of the participants have been waiting for, the award ceremony. I hope the screen is visible to all the participants because you will read the winners there as well as hear it from me. Now, first of all, I hope all the participants had a very good learning session. Our objective at CCIC is to further the discipline of international law, and every year it focuses on a theme. This year's theme was the law of the sea. Thus, I hope participants have got a new insight into what the law of the sea is and also have developed an interest in international law. Now, before we proceed with the declaration of the results, I would like to thank and say a few words about our judges. The jury for in competition room 1 in the 4 group were Professor Dr. Fernando Luis Lorelo Bastos. I'm sorry for the mispronunciation. And then we have Professor Bastos amongst us, as you can see. Then the other jury was Professora Grasa Ennis. Now, a few words about Professora. Professora has done her bachelor's and master's in law from Faculty of Law of the University of Coimbra, PhD in law, European Union law from the Faculty of Law of the University of Porto. In addition to European Union law, Professora has scientific and academic interest extending to international law and the new challenges of international governance. She is the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Law of the University of Porto from 2013 to 2014 and has been the director of the second cycle of Law Studies 2019 to 2020 and coordinator of CIJ 2021 onwards. We thank you, Professora, for your able assistance and for being our jury. A round of applause for Professora. In the next room, in competition room 2, the against group, we had 2 jury, one of which is Professor Gudmundur, who is the chief guest of our valedictory ceremony. I thank you, Professor, for being our jury. The other jury member was Dr. Arif. Dr. Arif was also the resource person for our ceremony, for our learning session yesterday, where he provided an excellent session, as has been told by our student rapporteur to you. Dr. Arif is present in the meet, joining us online. I welcome you, sir, and I thank you for your learning session and for being our jury. A few words about Dr. Arif. Dr. Abdullah Al Arif is an internationally experienced researcher specializing in ocean governance and the law of the sea. He completed a PhD in law at the Macquarie University, Australia, with the Macquarie University Research Excellence Scholarship in 2019. He holds an LLB and LLM from Dhaka University, Bangladesh, and another LLM from South Asian University, New Delhi, India, in which he has received the University Gold Medal for securing the first position in his class. Dr. Arif is currently pursuing a postdoctoral research fellowship from 2021 to 2023, which he has recently completed at the Yokohama City University, Japan, funded by the Japan Society for Promotion of Science, JSPS. He has also been a fellow of the UK Higher Education Academy since 2020. Dr. Arif published his first research monograph, Sustainable Fisheries Management and International Law, Marine Fisheries in Bangladesh and the Bay of Bengal, with Routledge in 2021 December. In addition, Dr. Arif has published several research articles in internationally ranked journals. Dr. Arif received the University Grants Commission Bangladesh Award in 2014 for his outstanding contribution to research and publication. He has presented research outputs at numerous academic conferences in Asia, Europe, and Oceania. Dr. Arif is a member of the World Commission on Environmental Law, an international union for conservation of nature, and the Asian Society of International Law. It was indeed a pleasure and honor to have you as a resource person and jury, sir. A round of applause for Dr. Arif. Now, coming to the most awaited moment of this valedictory ceremony, the results. Now, as you are aware, there are 2 trophies. You have been seeing 2 trophies since the inaugural ceremony before you. So CCIC has a concept of 2 winners, one in the for category and one in the against category. So I'll be declaring the winners in the for group. The winners in the for group are team. I would request the team to please turn on your cameras so that we can see, so that our audience present here can see who you are. So the winners for the for group, are you ready for it? Is CC.
We are here, ma'am.
Yes, CC07, KLE Law College, Bangalore. A round of applause for them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
The participants were Gargi Srivastav, Jayant Himachala, and Aditya Narayanan. Congratulations to the winning team in the for category.
Thank you.
Thank
The,
you,
Thank you
ma'am.
so much, ma'am.
the
It was an
winners
honor.
the winners in the against category, it was quite a debated competition. The jury was debated on it, and finally the results emerged with CC11, Faculty of Law, University of Colombo, being the winners. Once again, they have clinched the award. The second edition, once again, the Faculty of Law, University of Colombo are the winners of second CCIC.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, jury. Thank you.
The participants were Sayuni, Janani, and Malisha. Congratulations to the team. I would now like to state the participants, remaining 10 teams. All performed excellently, and I'm sure everybody has a great takeaway from CCIC. We would like to see you participating again in the third edition. The teams were Modern Law College, Campus Law Center, University of Delhi, Victor Dantas Law College, Kudal, Vidya Pratishtan's Vasantrao Pawar Law College, Baramati, MLC College, University of Macau, Marwadi University, B.M. Salgaonkar College of Law, Mirabar, Facultad de Direito, Universidad de Lisboa, STM Law College, Mangalore, Global Legal Studies, University of Macau, and our team, our college team, GR Kari College of Law, was also a reserve team, but we did not get a chance to use them. So they were reserved in case any team backs out or could not perform. Our team would have stepped in as a reserve team. So once again, congratulations to all the participants, to our winners, and thank you for your brilliant performance. At this moment, we would also like to present the certificates to our volunteers. I request our volunteers to please come up as and when your names are called out. I request volunteer student coordinator Nelly Falcao to please come forward, requesting the dignitaries to hand over the certificate from the dais itself. This is Nelly Falcao, your student coordinator. Next is Sai Chandra Bandodkar. Samruddhi Bhonkarako, rapporteur. Prathama Kadam. And a compare for the inaugural and valedictory ceremony, Suhana Khan. Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Principal. I hand over the mic back to Suhana.
Wow. Congratulations to our winners and participants. I hope you all have had a wonderful learning experience at CCIC. Taking the ceremony further, we are honored to have with us our chief guest, Professor Gudmundur Eriksson, joining online. I request Assistant Professor Akanksha Gehlot to introduce our chief guest.
Hello everyone. I am extremely overwhelmed to introduce our chief guest for today. But before I proceed to that, I would like to congratulate the two teams today for the for category and in the against category. Professor Gudmundur Eriksson, was a 2014 professor and he is a senior fellow in the Center for International Legal Studies at the Jindal Global Law School. He holds the office to serve with the United Nations in New York from 1974 to the year 1977. He then joined the Ministry for Foreign Affairs of Iceland and served as Assistant Legal Advisor, and Ambassador of Iceland in Ottawa from the year 2003 to 2005, in Pretoria from the year 2008 to 2009, and in New Delhi from the year 2009 to 2014. He was a member of the United Nations International Commission from 1987 to 1996 and a judge at the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea from the year 1996 to 2002. He was a member of Icelandic delegations in numerous international forums, including the Council of the North Atlantic Salmon Conservation Organization, where he served as president from 1984 to 1988. Professor Eriksson has lectured on international law at 40 universities worldwide, including from 1987 to 1996 at the University of Iceland, from the year 1994 at the University of New Mexico School of Law from 2001 to 2003, where he co-founded and co-directed the program on international law and human rights. Professor Eriksson is the author of the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, and he has published numerous articles on laws of the seas, legal education, international criminal law, international organizations, international relations, disarmaments, and human rights. He holds an AB degree and a BS degree from Rutgers and an LLB degree from King's College, London. And he has an LLM degree from Columbia Law School. He is a fellow of King's College, London. Truly, the introduction to the chief guest can go no further, and we will be going on and on with his accomplishments and the achievements. I welcome you, Professor Gudmundur Eriksson, to our ceremony, and we thank you for agreeing to be the jury of the competition today. Hope you were not troubled too much, and thank you for adapting to our pattern of the competition. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your kind invitation, your kind introduction, but also to express my gratitude for the invitation to be chief guest and to participate in the jury. I'm so sorry I was unable to attend in person. I have very fond memories of Goa from the time I was ambassador of my country, as you heard, in Delhi, and attended regularly the International Film Festival, which of course quite different from my daily work, including my work on the law of the sea. Those who spoke before me gave due credit to all those who have participated in the preparation of the competition, and I'm very grateful to them as well. I would particularly like to thank my colleague on the jury, Professor Abdullah Arif, and recall a time when I was in a meeting in the UN. It must be like 6 or 7 years ago, where we're commemorating some landmark or milestone in the history of the law of the sea. An occasion was mentioned. On the occasion, a reference was made to various generations of people involved in the law of the sea, and I elaborated on this generational approach in a lecture I had in London at one time. I developed 4 generations. The first generation was those who were leading the negotiations leading to the adoption of the convention in 1982. Many of them began much earlier. In fact, two of them began in 1958 at the first conference on the law of the sea and continued on the second law of the conference on the law of the sea in 1960. But what a I say stroke of luck that when the time came, there was a need to revise the law of the sea, which had been developed over centuries and then codified in the 1958 Conventions on the Law of the Sea, that such a group of stalwart lawyers should have gathered together to prepare the conference at the third conference on the law, to prepare the convention at the third Law of the Sea conference. Many of those people saw the Law of the Sea as an opportunity to redress the imperfections which have now become apparent in the United Nations. Many of them, in fact, have participated in the San Francisco conference when the Charter of the UN, which is referred to quite often in our deliberations today, was adopted, and had become disappointed at what has happened to the UN at that time. That is, the what we used to call the Cold War, and much of the vision of the United Nations had not been realized. So these people came together from all parts of the world. We heard today, in my panel at least, some of the types of interests which were reflected in that negotiation, and as I said, sought to redress the imbalance that had taken place over the years in the work of the United Nations. And I always, those of you who are familiar with the debate about the first world and the third world in the development of international law, I hope would appreciate that the Law of the Sea Convention, which we discussed today quite a bit, is in no respects a first world product. Rather, most of the large majority, of course, of the participants in the conference were from the developing world, and that was, of course, a great contrast from, first of all, the San Francisco conference, and then the 58 conventions. I venture to say also that the result of our work increased radically the use of settlement of disputes in international law. When our conference was being adopted, there were virtually no countries wishing to appear, or certainly no developing countries wishing to appear before the International Court of Justice. Well, I included these stalwarts of international law as the first generation. In the second generation, I included myself, those of us who were mentored by these people. You understand what my generation is by age. Some of the participants in the conference were at the time in their 70s, and of course, most of them are no more, and I pay tribute to them, that first generation, as I speak to you today. So then, this particular group, the second generation, we worked together in many other fora, including, in my case, the International Law Commission, including in the negotiations for the International Criminal Court, and in many other international fora. And I think we tried to carry on this spirit of the law of the sea in those later contexts. Many of them remain my friends today, as I say, the second generation. And then there was a rather lost generation during the period, shall we say, after the convention had been adopted, after the convention entered into force, there was some solidification. Institutions were established, including the International Court, the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, which I had the honor to be on the first panel of. So there was much less activity in that period than in the first two periods I mentioned. However, now I see great emergence in interest in the law of the sea. There are a lot of pressing issues which are being addressed on the basis of the law of the sea. And I'm glad to say that we now have a fourth generation, and I would include Professor Al-Arif in that. So it's very nice to be with in that kind of generational gap. And then I would include the next generation would be the students that were before us, who I hope will take up this torch and carry on the work that by the three generations really before you. So let me rush to congratulate the winners of the competition. You heard in the presentation of my panel that it was very difficult to have chosen only one. We would have liked to honor more, but the rules did not allow other than selecting one of the groups. So your hard work, all of you, paid off, and we see the results of your work in the presentations today. But I wish to congratulate not only the winners, but all of you. It takes great courage and determination to put your work on others, before others. And I know many, in the light of what I said earlier, my involvement in the law of the sea, stretching back 40 years, many people find it hard to address me on these issues without fully preparing themselves. But I hope you have had all a valuable learning experience, inspired an interest in further forging into the study of the law of the sea. This field is becoming ever more necessary in the protection of the rights of countries and individuals and sustainable use of marine resources. You may have seen the most recent case before the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea deals with the question of climate change and global warming and rising sea levels. So for the first time, there will be a legal challenge to those, against those who are ignoring, I'm sorry to say, the dangers faced by all parts of the world, and no least by the oceans. So we can expect in the next few months an advisory opinion from the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea, in which the question is being asked: is there an obligation to stop global warming in the rubric of the Law of the Sea? Well, you heard that I'm now a professor in Jindal. I came to India for the first time, in fact. In all my career, I'd never been in India before I came here. Here I say, yes, as ambassador. I had to learn quite a bit. Now, as it turns out, I'm sure you know, that Iceland and India sit side by side in UN meetings. So having been in UN meetings for 10 or 15, 20 years even, with my neighbor to my left, my neighbor to my right from India, I felt I'd learned a lot of India in absentia, as we say, but a lot of things came as a surprise to me. But I've now been here for 14 years and learning ever more and more. But one of my first experiences as teaching was I taught actually on weekends. Aside from my day job as ambassador, Professor Raj Kumar had invited me to teach a course which I had done in other parts of the world before. And so I regularly taught there. And then not being able to, as I said before, never having been here and not fully acquainted with all the norms and so forth, I'm still learning them. I had a session with each of my students 3 or 4 weeks into the course, and I asked them, please give me your comments. I'd like to learn and see if I can improve by changing the methods. One of my students said to me, Professor, I wish you wouldn't tell all these stories if they're not going to be on the final exam. So I now begin every one of my sessions by my classes say, no, you can ask me anything. Do not expect me not to tell anecdotes from my experience, because we are talking about things where very few other people have experienced, including the origins of the law of the sea. Now, as far as today's presentations are concerned, I'm rather sorry I only heard the arguments against. As you can imagine, I would have liked to hear the arguments for as well. And I think I would have been much more receptive to those arguments. But these arguments took me back, the arguments against the convention, took me back 40 years to the time when we were developing that convention. The terms of that convention were that there would be a package deal, so-called. One could not pick and choose from the articles. You had to accept all or none. As it turned out, a very important country did not become a party to the convention, that is the United States, and has developed a position, that is to say, the official government position, that much of the law which they like is customary international law, and the law that they don't like is not. So they have actually been able to pick and choose from amongst the provisions of the convention. And we heard this discussion today from the presenters on the against side. And one of the things that I say, not concerned, but certainly expected, was the question about sovereignty, that the convention would involve surrendering sovereignty to an international organization. Now, that is certainly the case with respect to the deep seabed mining in the form of the International Seabed Authority, which was probably one of the two reasons why we started the conference at the time. We have agreed that any exploitation beyond the limits of national jurisdiction should be within the under the auspices of an international agreement. This is the vision that is represented by the first generation, which I mentioned before. Again, seeking a change in the international order for a very large part of the globe. Well, we didn't exactly succeed. This year we were celebrating, or last year, we were celebrating the 40th anniversary. We call it the 1982 convention. But we did not succeed in getting consensus there. Many countries did not participate in the vote or voted against. And it was only when the convention was materially changed that it was possible to get enough parties to reach the situation we have today. A situation where we have 168 parties out of 192, 93, 94 countries. So we now can say that the convention was a success, but it wasn't the 1982 convention unchanged, which brought about this great acceptance of the law of the sea. Well, I will leave this to you now. I hope there will be an occasion to visit the college, even to participate in later sessions. But to again congratulate all those involved in the competition, the organizers, the participants, and in particular the winners. I look forward to the continuation of this. This concept is a very, as you pointed out earlier, quite unique. We're not talking about usual moots, which are quite common, and I think it's a very good model for the future, and wish it the success that it deserves. And finally quoting former Prime Minister of Norway, Gro Harlem Brundtland, who said at the occasion of the adoption of the law of the sea, and I quote, "The law of the sea is not just a set of rules, but a reflection of our shared values and responsibilities. It is a foundation of our efforts to protect and preserve the oceans for future generations." And I call on you to join in that effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Gudmundur. Hoping to see you in our campus in physical mode soon. Moving on to, no event is complete without a vote of thanks. So may I call upon HOD SN Innavalli to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Suhana. Our dignitaries on the dais of the dais, all those who are present in the physical and virtual mode. Hello, everyone. It's my immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks at the conclusion of second international crisis control competition, crisis control international competition, which we organized in association with the Faculty of Law, Lisbon University, Lisbon, Portugal. Very difficult to pronounce it in their language, Portuguese language. So, coming to the formal vote of thanks, first I'd like to thank our chief guest, Professor Gurumundur Eriksson, Professor and Senior Fellow, Center for International Legal Studies, Jindal Global Law School, and Advisor, International Office and Global Initiatives of OP Jindal International Global University, India. Thank you, sir, and you enlighten us with your words, and thank you for judging our event. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Professor Dr. Fernando Lorero Bastos, Senior Faculty, Faculty of Law, University of Lisbon, Portugal, and is also President of Institute for Judicial Cooperation of Lisbon University. Sir, thank you very much for being physically present with us for 2 days and enlightening the participants with your resourceful information and even judging the event and being part of our activities. Dr. Abdullah Al Arif, founder, Bangladesh Center for Ocean Law and Policy, JSPS postdoctoral fellow, Yokohama City University, Japan. Sir was the resource person yesterday, and today he judged the event, and on behalf of all of us present here, definitely we will remember your contribution, sir. Thank you very much for virtually present and enlightening the participants and us in the subject. Professor Dr. Gracia Enes, European and International Law Professor, CIJ FDUP Coordinator, Faculty of Law, University of Porto, Lisbon. Thank you, ma'am, for judging the event and helping us in conducting this particular program. Thank you very much. Not to forget Professor Dr. T.R. Subramanya, who was a keynote speaker in the inaugural session, and a special mention that he is the one who helped us in refining the proposition for this particular program. Thank you, sir, and definitely we will continue to have your support and cooperation in such events. And I have to mention some special invitees. Professor Isabella Figueiredo, University of Macau. Madam, thank you for being with us for 2 days. Professor Pedro Caridado de Freitas, Faculty of Law, University of Lisbon. Sorry, sir, for failing in pronouncing your name properly. Thank you very much for being with us. And we have to mention some people or some professors, some senior faculty members of different universities who helped us in organizing this particular event in a better manner. Professor Paulo Carles de Canales de Castro, Professor, University of Macau. Professor Maria Clara Calares, Professor, Minho University, Portugal. Professor João Nuno Calvo da Silva, Professor, University of Coimbra, Portugal. Professor Mohammad Azwer, BCAS, Colombo, Sri Lanka. Professor Marta Santal Ribeiro, University of Porto, Portugal, and Professor Anand Mishra, Jindal Global Law University. And you have to also mention some participating team who are our MOE partners. One Modern Law College, Pune, VM Salgankar College of Law, Miramar, Goa, Vidya Pratishthan Vasantrao Pawar College, Baramati, and many other institutions which faculty and principals of those university institutions who helped us in organizing this particular event, and all the colleges who have participated and making this particular event very successful. Not to forget us, definitely have to remember our management, always helping us or guiding us in conducting the program. The management definitely requires a big round of applause for helping us in conducting the program. Our principal, Dr. Shaba De Silva, is a torchbearer and a guiding force for conducting our all our events. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that. Miss Vaibhavi Rane, she's the coordinator of this particular event, and to mention, CCIC is the brainchild of Vaibhavi Rane, and when she came with proposal last year and asked me to approach the principal was very happy with the new approach or new activity, and we made a Google search. There is no such competition in the whole of the world, and big round of applause for Vaibhavi Rane for such an initiative. And not to forget our faculty members who helped us in organizing this particular event. Mr. Sapresh Devidas, Akanksha Gehlot, Ashmita Nayak, and Mr. Anand Salve in absentia, who helped us in a very good way. Engineer Akshay Chari, who is our technical support, requires a big round of applause. Yes, without him it would not be successful. And our students, volunteers, Miss Nelly Falkova, she is the coordinator, Sai Chandra Bandodkar, Pratama Kadam, Samriddhi Bamkar, and Suhana Khan. Thank you very much, students, and we require your support in future. All my esteemed colleagues who are present here, thank you very much. Non-teaching staff, multitasking staff, all those who have helped us directly or indirectly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Innavalli. I request all the participants to kindly put on their camera on for a screenshot. I request everyone present here to kindly rise for the national anthem. Indian national anthem. मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाता जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे. Kindly be seated. With this, we come to an end of CCIC 2023. Chia, aate logo, fir milenge, take care, see you all next year. Thank you very much. I request the winners to kindly stay on the meet. Others may leave. Physically also others may leave. Thank you so much.
And take us into the Can you take envelopes from the office? Can ask one of them to get A4 envelope, A4 size.
Excuse me for the.
Now I understand why you don't take the decision.
You're very happy, so that had it all.
You know that you remember how difficult it was to read, and I could no, I do remember like several times trying.
Can you try now?
No, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to tell Professor Ray. Read!
Okay. You said it just now. You said it just now. Why did you say
Requesting Jayant from Kielis to kindly turn on their camera. Jayant, Gargi or Aditya. Do we have anyone in the meet? Yes.
Here. Hi, I'm present.
Jayant, do you have your other participants with you?
No, they're actually facing some issues, so they had to leave.
Okay, no problem. So we have our two winners on the screen with us. Kindly just face your cameras and smile for a few seconds. You can pin only 3. It's okay, you can pin only 3. Thank you, participants, and congratulations again. Thank you, participants. You will be further contacted with regards to your trophies. Thank you for joining us
you.
and participating. Congratulations. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.